Imagine if your branded content or online resources were suddenly cut off from 40% of the public. Well, by 2031, people at risk of disability and people with disabilities will represent 40% of total income in Ontario. So, are your videos accessible and AODA compliant? What even is AODA and does it impact your business? I'm Andrew from Arc & Crown Media, and this quarterly, we're talking about accessibility. AODA stands for Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. These are the legal requirements that you must follow to be more accessible to people with disabilities. For video, that usually means adding text captions for those unable to hear your audio, but it can often go beyond that as well. Even when it comes to video captions, there are two options that you can take: open and closed captions. Closed captioning means the captions can be toggled on or off, which is usually achieved by creating a .srt file, which is then uploaded along with the video file to a platform like YouTube. So that means the captions and the video file are independent from one another. Open captions are burned permanently into the video as graphic text. That means they're created during the editing of the video, and anywhere you upload that video file, the captions will always be there. Now, we see videos online all the time without captions. Are they breaking the law by not being AODA compliant? The answer is no. Things like captions aren't mandatory for every video, but what AODA does require is for you to be able to provide more accessible forms of your content when requested. What you can't do is deny such requests. Then you could be facing a penalty, depending on the size of your business. So it's always a good idea to know in advance how your communications can be made accessible for your audiences to be prepared to respond to any request. For example, having a transcript of your video available is a good idea. Simply put, this is your whole video in plain text form. Make sure it has the spoken content and any additional descriptions of actions in the video that might help the reader. Captions and a text transcript should be the bare minimum that you provide for videos hosted online. One step further is audio descriptions. This is intended for users with visual disabilities. A voiceover is added to portions of the video when no dialogue is heard to describe actions that are happening visually on screen to provide additional context to the viewer. Here's an example.
A group of people run through a field in sunlight. A businessman with case walks up to an office building. A man in a wheelchair walks with a woman on the key.
Lastly, you should consider your color design choices for your video content. This is critical for people with low contrast sensitivity, such as seniors, and people with color blindness who cannot distinguish between certain colors. You'll want to be aware of whether you have the appropriate contrast between the text color and its background in the video. Accessibility is a constantly shifting landscape as new technologies are introduced and media takes new shapes and forms. You should always try to stay up to date with what practices are available to cater to every need and every person. You'll find that doing so will benefit all audiences, even those without disabilities. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next season.